eighth show was with two other fellows.
Yeah,
This I
David.
think has the most memorable quote in all of the radio interviews, where Frederick Glacier goes and speaks that a great artist comes out of nowhere and reshapes the world anew in
Yeah.
terms of his art. And that's something that you later took and incorporated into the written interviews as one of those queries that parallax with other interviews.
Yeah.
It also has, this is the poet I mentioned before, of someone who wrote even worse poetry than Dorian Sagan. Frederick Glacier actually understands some of the ins and outs of why poetry is in the hells that it is, but his poetry itself is just as bad as any of the established figures. So, in a
He,
sense,
yeah.
him speaking about it has no authority.
Yeah. He's declaiming on the thing, and he has no clue about the art part of it. To him, poetry is to push forth ideas, whether it's religious or artistic or whatnot. It's a vehicle by which to have voice, so to speak, which again is one of those things that I just sort of shake my head at. David Alpaugh is maybe even a worse poet in a different way. And I remember Alpaugh, when the shows got taken down by Dave Wesley, Alpaugh was angry about that, and then he wanted me to review a book of his poems. This was probably in '06 or '07. I told him I'm not writing poetry anymore, and I don't want to look at poems, reviews poems. The only Since I stopped writing poems in about May or June of really about 11 years ago, uh, I have tried. I have tried to depoetize myself in a sense. I mean, I still get flooded with poetry submissions, so I'm still in that. And we before we did the show, I just was giving you critique on your poems, and better critique than anyone else could probably give you. But I didn't want to review this guy's book, and then he got mad at me, and so he wanted it off my e-list, and it was just a very childish reaction. That's what I remember about him. Frederick Glacier also, I think, is a real estate agent somewhere up in Michigan. A nice enough guy, but he reminds me of this guy who did the New World, Frederick Turner. This long poem that Jessica had Frederick Turner as a professor. Turner was another one of these guys who would talk all about these pseudoscientific methods. And I think I have still 2 or 3 essays that Frederick Turner wrote about poetry up on
Yeah, they're some
Cosmoetica.
of the worst essays that you have on the site.
Yeah, these people who have no clue about what the fuck they are talking about. Now, Glacier certainly could probably be a passable critic of poetry if but he would probably come across some poet or poetry that he liked, and all of his good ideas would go out the window. So it's an interesting show. I think it's a successful show, but it's successful not so much because Alpaugh and Glacier are such great poets or poetry critics, but because you get a real sense of what's fundamentally wrong with poetry because of these two guys and their very much limited view on poetry.